It's me. It's that N to the T to the G. Rolling once again with that BT double big trouble bitch. I'm taking up the whole screen. You got myself, Nikki the Good, and we are the Meat Pop Express. And boy, do we have another jam-packed episode for you today. A lot going on in pro wrestling as per usual. Things are heating up. We had a pay-per-view, not a PLE, this past weekend. We got some news coming out of the WWE that's gonna send shockwaves into night one of WrestleMania. There's also a little something happening in all the beautiful exotic state of New Jersey that we're going to get into. And then the grand finale, or as you could say, the main event of this show, we are going to be tiering the top, well, not the top, but we're going to be going through WrestleMania 1 through 20, and we're going to be doing an old tiering structure, okay? You guys have seen us do that in the past before with some spooky costumes and stuff like that. We're going to do it for the WrestleMania because it is WrestleMania season, so we got to give the people what they want. They want WrestleMania. They're going to be watching it probably on loop for the next however many days until Mania. That's kind of what I do. Ben, what are you thinking about today's show's match card? You excited?
No, very, very excited. We'll talk a little bit at the beginning. We got a really exciting announcement in the beautiful Garden State. What people sometimes, the uneducated like to call it the armpit of America. I don't think so. I think New Jersey is a beautiful state. I really do think so. My great co-host, Nicky, he's not from, but he's currently residing.
It's a dump.
Jersey. It's a dump. Okay, well, he said it, not me. But then, yes, we are going to go over every WrestleMania 1 through 20. Next week, we'll do 21 through 39. And how we're going to do it, folks, just going to let you know we're going to go over where it was, the attendance, the tagline, some of the top matches, and then WrestleMania is known to have a ton of celebrities. We're going to go over which celebrities were there, and we're going to put them in a tier list, and we'll show you that a little bit later as we go forward with the show. But Nick, take us away. Let's start the show. Let's talk about some rumblings in the pro wrestling world.
Yeah, so AEW Revolution was this past weekend, Sunday. Tony actually got us out at midnight, which I was surprised about. I thought it was going to be till 1 a.m. The big thing there was the Sting send-off. I thought was done very well. I know, Ben, you thought he was going to go out on his back, 1, 2, 3, but he didn't. They actually put him over. I think it was fine. I'm okay with it. I think the match was great. That Darby spot. Oh, man, dude. Like, I know it's Darby, and I guess I could just give him a pass because he is. But, dude, brother, like, the dad in me says all you need is one shard of sugar glass or real glass to fly into someone's eye, and that company is in big fucking trouble, bro.
It went everywhere. And I saw somebody on Twitter saying something like, oh, well, everyone that's complaining about that, like, they put up this thing on the Titantron before the show that said, hey, if you're sitting in the front row, you might get hit with something. And everyone's like, dude, it doesn't matter if you put that up. It's not legally defensible. This guy thought he was like dunking on everybody like, yeah, just so you know, they covered their asses here.
They didn't cover their asses at all. If you look at the video, and this is not taken away from what Darby did. It was an incredible spot. Incredible spot. Right? Do I agree with it? Not. I'm not going to get into it. Like, you want to get into it, go online with Twitter. But there was some woman in the front row. You could see her. She was like taken back by it, and you could tell she got some shit on her. And I'm like, dude,
big time.
Tony, be careful, because if a shard goes into someone's eye, I know it's unlikely, but dude, like, you got all the money in the world, you're going to be taken to the fucking woodshed, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's no chance if anything serious happens. That's my only thing. And I know I'm like be an old man at the clouds type shit, but that's a real thing. Like, if that was my daughter, I would literally try and take your fucking company under.
People are gonna try to start leaning into things there. Be like, you know what? I'll take a quick concussion to get a quick payday. Why not?
I mean, these marks don't have
They don't have money.
They're jobless.
They're
jobless. These people listening to us right now, they have no gig. And then what else went on that was of notoriety? I mean, you had the triple threat. I think Swerve is the one who's coming out of that best. Samoa Joe looks great. He obviously is still the champion. I thought that was the right call. Hangman, a little bit of a heel turn there, getting a little vicious. Overall, it's a good pay-per-view. I think the other thing that, that really to be called out was, Will Ospreay. Listen, Will Ospreay is the last part of what we'll talk about, because we do have a big tier list to get into, so I'm not trying to shortchange anything. I'll say this about Will Ospreay. He definitely has a presence. He definitely has a look. I really, really like his theme song, and he's legitimately incredible in the ring. It's not like particularly my style per se, but I can appreciate what he's doing. With that said, that poison Rana that he hit yesterday on because we were recording this Thursday night when he hit on Dynamite, like you're gonna break someone's fucking neck. You're going to break someone's neck. Like Ben, do you have anything to say?
I think
I saw the clip, but like Jesus Christ.
I do agree with you. I mean, that's just now the style that they're all accustomed to there and in Japan and how they work. So it's probably hard to even tell them to slow down at this point. I know there was that story about Chris Jericho calling Will Ospreay and telling him, dude, you got to slow down. Will Ospreay, good-looking guy, charisma. He's got innate charisma. He can talk. You know, he's got that thick British accent. He's a hell of an athlete. The guy's he's a 5-tool player. He really is. It's just that, you know, we want him to be around for a lot longer than he could be with all the wrestling he does. So
I also don't want him to hurt anyone. Then he gets that MO, because dude, that move, that poison Rana, I guess they call it.
Yeah.
Where someone is
the reverse Hurricanrana. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like from the top rope, dude, like the person just does not have as much control over.
No,
it.
you don't.
It's impossible, man. Like you're gonna kill somebody.
Yeah. It's not I never in a million years, and I don't even know if there would be enough money for me to take that move because it's very dangerous, and yeah, you don't know where you're going. You have no idea.
That's the one thing I wasn't cool with. I also think that he did a little video talking about how expensive American water was, I guess, in a hotel. That's a character, Will. If you can listen to if you could listen to this mark right here, that's stuff that makes me really interested in you. If you just start, even if you're a babyface, just start talking about how crazy American culture is. And I'm telling you, it will be better because you had another banger last night. If you do 10 of those in a row, I'm going to stop watching.
Yeah,
I'm just going to stop.
Especially with that accent, it can add so much to it. He's got that like
it's so good.
Like
I
almost like inner city kind of like hooligan type British accent. It just sounds so good. So
I mean, AEW Revolution, very good pay-per-view. They didn't have MJF on the card, and I thought they held their own. You know, they had the women, Toni Storm, Deonna Purrazzo. They had a lot that was going on. It was a solid-paced pay-per-view. One of the better ones, but like we've said, this isn't surprising. I think AEW does pay-per-views very well.
Yeah.
Because the wrestling is telling the story, and they could run these things called promo packages.
Yep.
Now, if Tony can bring those into the weekly program or just Dynamite, because I'll tell you right now, brother, I'm not watching Collision and I'm not watching Rampage. I just can't. I don't have that ability in my functional, I give back to society life, unlike you slobs out there, unlike you disgusting fried Oreo munching marks that are just watching every single show possible because you have nothing else to do. I got responsibilities. I have things to do, people to see, and places to be. Let's move into WWE. The big news that came out of WWE, and this is all I'm going to cover, is that The Rock came out, cut one of the greatest promos I've ever seen. I've watched it about 17 times. I've watched it on the Stairmaster, just fucking crushing levels on the Stairmaster listening to this guy come out. So the big news that came out is that it looks like we're getting that tag match, man. We're gonna get it. It's gonna be Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth, night one, to set up kind of whether it's gonna be Bloodline rules or not Bloodline rules. What do you think's gonna happen there?
I think
Ben?
we know. I think a safe bet and safest bet in Vegas here is that it's gonna be Bloodline rules night two.
Yeah.
I think we know who's taking the old Pinsky there. I think it's gonna. Actually, no, I don't know. I mean, it could be Cody could take the pin. You know,
Cody could take the pin because then it just looks like he can't win the next night, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Cody takes the pin. And you know, a lot of doubt sets in. Bloodline rules. Cody just lost. Oh no, what's going to happen night two? A lot of intrigue going into night two. You have the whole bloodline out there, and then you know, it's like someone parts the Red Sea, comes out, fucking helps Cody. Bang, bang, boom, big finish. Well, Cody wins, goes over Roman with the crossroads, like 8 crossroads or whatever the hell's going to happen. But, yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I love about all this is there's just so much. This is how you know how good The Rock is. So if anyone had any like hesitation as to whether or not The Rock still had it, between the 20-minute promo on Instagram and then the promo he did in the ring, I mean, how many different stories did he build with that?
No,
he built the story he furthered the story with him and Seth. He furthered the story with him and Cody. He furthered the story with him and Roman, right? Right, the biggest story of them all. Then he also with Solo, like the seeds have been planted.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell Solo doesn't like being mocked, and he's being mocked right now. He's being treated like the little brother.
Yep.
And it's all gonna come to a head. The Rock went in that ring for 20 minutes, and listen. You idiots who were complaining about Naomi not having an entrance on that show. Shut up, dude. Shut up. It's WrestleMania season, dude. The Rock's in the ring with the best story we've had in years. Shut up.
Yes, thank you. You see,
I couldn't
say it better myself. I mean, The Rock, he still got it. You know, there was a point where I think I was getting a little bit over The Rock. I was like, okay, it's getting a little corny. Like we're getting, like the smiling baby face Rock all the time, thanking everybody. This is my home, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. I was like, okay, like this is old. But this Rock, this has got me all the way back in. I love this version.
This is like ignore the wife, ignore the kids. The Rock's on my television. I'm watching it.
Yeah. Before it was just like happy to be here. I'm smiling. I'm gonna throw my 3 catchphrases out there. Everyone will say it with me. Hug some baby, kiss some babies, hug people, all this and that. I was over it, but now he just reeled me back in. I am on that lore. I'm all the way back in with The Rock.
I am so in on it, man. Like I am looking forward to SmackDown so much, and I'm really. Is it in Memphis?
Yes,
tomorrow.
Yes, because he talked about going back home, and he spent a lot of his developmental years in Memphis, where I filmed Young Rock.
Yes, we're in front and center, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about Memphis is he loves to sing. I don't know if we're going to get that.
The Rock concert.
But the Rock concerts, I don't know if we're going to get it because he is a heel. I wouldn't mind, though.
He did it as a heel.
No. Like
his famous one in Sacramento.
Yes.
He was a heel.
That's the best one.
Yeah.
Sacramento, I won't stay. You got some fat-ass women and wait, no. It was like... The Rock will be back when the Lakers beat the Kings in May.
Yeah. Yep, that was it.
So, we're all in on that. WrestleMania Night 1, you're going to get the tag team match. That basically is set in stone now. And, that's it. We're well on our way. AEW comes off a hot pay-per-view. I thought Dynamite last night was a solid Dynamite. They still need the character work. They still need to, reel me in a little bit more with stories, but I saw less CMMLs on the show yesterday than I ever did. Let's keep those guys on.
Supposedly as well, there's visa issues with some of the Mexican
talent. Nothing again. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Just who gives a shit?
I can't say I disagree with you.
It's not anything. I would love them to be here. I'm happy that you get to come to the United States of America. But I don't need you on my TV right now.
Mm-hmm.
The show was fucking awesome. Was very good last night. Yeah. I enjoyed it a lot. And if you want to get your visa, make sure you get it just in time for Collision or Rampage.
Yep, there you go.
I don't need you on Wednesday nights because that's what I'm going to be watching. The CMLL. I'll end up becoming a fan. Watch. And right before we get into the tiering of the WrestleManias 1 through 20, some big news coming out of New Jersey. Yep. Ben, you've been at these events. You've actually wrestled at these events. Can you tell us a little bit of what the boys over at Fight Factory and our man?
Actually, I've never wrestled at these events. This is new. This is the first event for Fight Factory Wrestling.
No, I'm talking about just wrestling events. You wrestled. I'm not a wrestler.
So listen,
I look
folks,
great, but
wrestling events, they're always at these dumpy VFWs, these dumpy bingo halls, in some dilapidated barn, in someone's backyard. And you never look forward to actually going to, you're on the road and you're going through these crappy towns like Pocahontas, Tennessee. And I'm sure no one in Pocahontas, Tennessee is listening to this because I'm sure no one in Pocahontas, Tennessee has Wi-Fi. So we're driving through these towns and you're getting to the building and you're saying to yourself, what the hell? What am I doing? Should I just quit? Should I just burn my boots? I'm spending my Saturday in this piece of crap podunk town. But the boys at Fight Factory Wrestling on July 16th, it's a Tuesday. It's a weird day for a wrestling show, but you know what? They don't run by the same rules as everybody else. So Dave and the boys, They are running War on the Shore. And what town is it in, Nick? I'm not sure. It's on the shore. I don't know the exact town.
I think it's Point Pleasant.
Is it Point Pleasant? Point Pleasant, New Jersey. I think that's the home of Jersey Mike Subs, I'm pretty sure. So that's pretty cool. Point Pleasant, New Jersey, down the shore, on the shore, in the shore, over the shore. I don't know what you guys call it, but in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, July 16th, Fight Factory Wrestling is having their debut event, War on the Shore, on the goddamn beach at the goddamn Martell's Tiki Bar. And guess who's goddamn booked? You're looking at the two most handsome men in pro wrestling entertainment. Yeah, we're booked. Of course we goddamn are booked. Did you have any question? Dave knows what he's doing. He knows money. He knows who's going to make money. And that's the old MPX, the old Meat Pop Express, old Nicky the Good, and old Big Trouble Ben Bishop. So we will be there July 16th. Again, it's a Tuesday. But what the hell else are you going to do on a Tuesday? Come down the shore. Martell's Tiki Bar, Fight Factory Wrestling, War on the goddamn shore.
That's right. And I haven't actually got my email confirming that I'm booked yet. But
you'll be there.
But I'll be there, and I quote tweeted it on Twitter saying that I was booked because that's just what I'm assuming. So I'm very excited to be going and headlining. We are very excited to be headlining War on the Shore. Thank you, Fight Factory, for having us. Thank you for extending the offer. We're really excited to make sure that there are some asses in the seats there.
Absolutely.
That's just that. Just want to let you guys know that we are very excited to be doing that for you guys, and appreciate you putting the venue together. That might be the week I'm down there with my family because we have a beach house in Point Pleasant.
Oh, look at that!
I'm actually
Nick's got a beach house, folks. He's got a goddamn beach house.
Yeah, in case you didn't guys know, I'm very well off.
Yeah.
I've had a very successful career before I got into the podcasting with Meat Pop Express, in which, you know, I don't know how much money we've made doing this thing, but whatever. It'll come. Yeah. So anyway, let's get to the main event of the evening.
All right.
We're going to start tiering the WrestleManias 1 through 20, and Ben's going to share his screen through the magic of editing. All right, and here we are. What did I tell you? Look
folks,
at that.
We are
best
back.
producer in the biz made sure that I can get this big ass screen right up here, right for you guys to see. As you can see, we have a tiering structure here, and lovely Ben Bishop here. Big Trouble's going to walk us through.
All right, folks, you've seen us do some tiers before, and we are back with WrestleMania 1 through 20. So we are going to go through these tiers right now. The granddaddy tier, the granddaddy of them all. Obviously, that's going to be the top tier, the number one tier. So that is saved for the best of WrestleMania. Good shit pal tier, another great tier here. We're going to go through each one. We're going to see, hey, that was good, not bad, real good shit pal. B-show tier, okay, we're getting to the point where it's like, it was all right. It was okay. Not bad, not great, but it was okay. Parents are pissed I wasted $50 tier. We're getting towards the bottom here, folks. We know these pay-per-views cost a lot. I know I had to talk my parents into buying these sometimes, and not always were they very happy with me because sometimes the shows were just bad. And, of course, the bottom of the barrel tier, the Jabroni Mark, who doesn't know a work is a work tier. Shout out Hulk Hogan on this one for the greatest tweet of all time. That is the bottom tier for the worst of WrestleMania.
All right, Z. Let's kick it off, Ben.
All right, so we're starting off number one, and again, folks, I want to make sure that we know that we are going to go through where this was, the tagline of WrestleMania, the attendance, the celebrities, and some of the top matches at WrestleMania. So here we go. WrestleMania 1. Folks, this is where it all began. The tagline, the greatest wrestling event of all time, held in New York at Madison Square Garden. 19,121 screaming fans. Some of the celebrities that were there: Muhammad Ali, Cyndi Lauper, Liberace, Billy Martin, and some of the matches included Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Piper and Orndorff in the main event, the Body Slam Challenge, Andre and Big John Studd, Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper versus Moolah for the women's title, and Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik versus the U.S. Express, with Barry Windham and Rotunda. So, Nick, what do we think about WrestleMania 1?
I mean, I don't really think there's much to think about here, right? Like, without WrestleMania 1,
there's nothing.
There's nothing. There might actually be nothing.
Legit nothing. Vince would have went bankrupt if this didn't work out.
Right, and it was a resounding success. It paved the way for like the evolution of what WrestleMania is today. But WrestleMania 1 was the bet of all bets by Vince McMahon. So it is nothing but the granddaddy tier. It is the top of the top because without it, sure, wrestling would have evolved into something. But I don't know if anyone other than Vince McMahon could have had wrestling become what it was. I really just don't think so. I think he's the only promoter that could have ever truly pulled off I guess what we come to know as professional wrestling today.
Yeah, no, I think you're right here. I think WrestleMania 1, it has to be granddaddy. I thought the card was decent. I think you just have to put it as number one, as a granddaddy tier, just because it was the first. It was the biggest bet of all time, really, in sports. There wouldn't be any WWE. If this flopped, that'd be it. We would not. There would be no WWE. So we
WrestleMania is about moments. It's not
Exactly.
about the match. It's just you really some of these WrestleManias you'll see. Some of them are just like you just have the main event and the rest kind of sucks.
Absolutely. So no, I think absolutely we got to put in WrestleMania 1 in the granddaddy tier. Okay, moving on to WrestleMania 2. This is an interesting one because this was simulcast from 3 different locations: at the Nassau Coliseum, at the Rosemont Arena in Chicago, Nassau Coliseum in New York, and in Los Angeles. So this tagline had the premier sporting event of the year. Taglines get better and better as the years go on, I promise you. 40,000 combined between all 3 venues. Some of the celebs: Ray Charles sang America the Beautiful. Joe Frazier was also there. Elvira, what a cast of characters. Dit Butkus was in Chicago, and Ozzy Osbourne was also at one of the venues. I'm not exact, probably L.A. The matches, we'll just go through the main events of each show. So in L.A., it was Hogan versus Bundy for the title match. In Chicago, it was the British Bulldogs versus Valentine and Beefcake. And in New York, it was Mr. T versus Roddy Piper in a boxing match. So I don't know about this one, Nick. I don't know about this one, Nick. This one, I'm thinking this is parents are pissed I wasted $50 tier because this didn't seem too great.
It's my least rewatched WrestleMania.
This one was pretty bad. So I gotta put this in the parents are pissed I wasted.
And you gotta remember, even myself, who's old, like I got 8 years on Ben, right? What I got 8 years on you, 6 years on you, something like that, right?
5.
Like, even I was too young to take this in the moment. Like WrestleMania 1, I could look at it and understand the effect that it had on the business. Number 2, though, WrestleMania 2, I just don't I've never heard anyone be like, "Yo, WrestleMania 2." Like I've never heard someone say that. Legitimately, I've never heard someone say that. So my father would be irate if he turned it on. He'd be like, "No." He's like, "Why is this wrestler boxing?"
No, it's horrible. And I want to make sure that I have the right one up here because all these stupid WrestleMania, the beginning ones did not have the right.
Right. This is
the logos are horrible. Logos are horrible, and I should have cut this better. But you know what? This is what we are, folks. You take it how we are.
Take it, leave it, and shut your mouth and enjoy the ride that the Meat Pop Express is riding.
That's right. You're goddamn right there. Okay, WrestleMania 3. All right, we're starting to get a little bit bigger here because we were in the Silverdome, the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit, Michigan. Tagline: bigger, better, badder. 78,000 people in attendance. The celebs: Aretha Franklin singing America the Beautiful. Alice Cooper was also there. Alice Cooper actually walked Jake Roberts to the ring, and Bob Uecker was on commentary. Some of the top. Some people there in what year was that? 1986? 1986.
Well, WrestleMania 1 was 84, right?
So, yep. So 86. WrestleMania 3 was 86. Matches, obviously, everybody knows the big match at WrestleMania 3. And if you watch the new WWE 2K commercial, they did this they showed a rendition of this. And there was the guy who did the Hogan body double was really good. Just check.
He
that
looked
out.
great. He almost looked
really good.
He almost looked bigger. He almost looked like he was 7 feet tall.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Definitely bigger than actually what Hogan looked like. Whoever did that did a really good job. So go check that out. Really good spray tan. Body looked great. And everybody who made fun of me thinks I have small legs. We'll just go watch it and see what my legs look. Oh, well, not me, but whoever that was. So WrestleMania 3, some of the matches: Hogan versus Andre, Steamboat versus Savage. A lot of people say is one of the best matches of all time for the Intercontinental title. King Harley Race versus JYD in a loser must bow match. And Honky Tonk Man versus Jake Roberts with Alice Cooper at ringside.
I mean, there's not where this is
pretty easy.
Hogan Andre, you could stop it there, even before you get to Steamboat Savage, which is considered the greatest wrestling match of all time by many.
Mm-hmm.
Change the business. Change the business is probably the most replayed moment in the history of professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
Like, made Hulk Hogan, the passing of the torch, everything. Like, shockwaves through culture, not through just wrestling, through actual culture. WrestleMania 3, Granddaddy Tier, 100%. Let's move on.
Absolutely. Easy. All right, WrestleMania 5. Four. Getting ahead of myself. Okay, 4, we're talking about the great state of New Jersey here. Atlantic City, New Jersey at the Trump Hotel. Tagline, what the world is watching. 19,000 people in attendance. Some of the celebs, obviously, Donald Trump, Vanna White, Gladys Knight singing America the Beautiful. The match is here. The storyline going into WrestleMania 4, folks, if you don't remember, it was a big tournament for the vacant WWE title that was vacated by Ted DiBiase. Jack Tunney stripped him of the title because he didn't actually win it. Andre had it and just gave it to him.
Yep.
So Ted DiBiase did not. Got vacated of that title, so there was a giant, big 14-man tournament here. Some of the top matches, the finals came down to Savage versus Ted DiBiase for the WWE title, or WWF at the time. Demolition versus Santana and Martel Strikeforce for the tag titles. Hogan versus Andre rematch, which actually, it went on 8th on the card, but it was considered the biggest. It was the one that was promoted the most. So like the tournament wasn't really promoted as much as Andre versus Hogan, which you can probably expect. And then for the IC title, Brutus the Beefcake versus the Honky Tonk Man. And this was also where we started seeing the Mega Powers form. So pretty big deal here. Pretty big WrestleMania.
Yeah. I'm in between. I'm in between two.
I think I know.
Selections.
Are you in between Good Shit Pal and B Show?
Yeah, I am. I want to say B show tier. I want to say B show tier. That's how I feel. I don't know if you feel the same.
I was gonna say the same thing. No disrespect to anybody on that card, but I wasn't a big. Because here's the thing. Like you have this. I'm not a huge fan of tournaments either, especially on pay-per-views. Like if you want to do a turn, I loved King of the Ring. Leading up to it.
Yeah.
But like for the WWE title, having a big tournament and vacate, it seemed kind of lazy to me. So
to me, rewatchability is very big for this list.
And I wouldn't have
and I don't really find myself rewatching WrestleMania 4.
No, that's it. Moving on, we agree. All right, WrestleMania 5, the tagline, the Mega Powers Explode. This was also held in Atlantic City, this time at the Boardwalk Hotel. 19,000 in attendance. The celebs, Run DMC, singing the WrestleMania rap. Donald Trump was there again. Morton Downey Jr. And Rockin' Robin actually sang. She was the WWF champion, women's champion at the time, and also Jake Roberts' sister, but she's the one who sang America the Beautiful. So, matches, Hogan versus Savage, Mega Powers Explode. Huge storyline in the 80s there. Roberts versus Andre. Andre's still going at it. Unbelievable. Rick Rude versus the Ultimate Warrior for the IC title. Demolition versus the Powers of Pain for the tag titles. And the Hart Foundation versus Valentine and Honky Tonk Man. Some of the top matches on that card. Nick, what do you think? Hogan versus Savage was a huge storyline in the 80s.
It's just such Man, I don't know if it's Granddaddy tier.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely
good shit power, right?
I think so too. I think it has to be.
Like it's very rewatchable because of that match specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is.
But it's not Granddaddy tier. I don't feel like the Mega Powers is a great story. I think it's cooler than it is impactful. If that makes sense.
I agree. No, it's good shit, pal. Obviously. People always remember Hogan versus Savage, Miss Elizabeth being involved. She was in the neutral corner during that match. Huge storyline in the 80s, two iconic characters. But then again, you got to go to the rest of the card too. It was was in Atlantic City again, 2 years in a row. I don't know how much I love that.
Yeah.
You know, the celebs were okay. I mean, Morton Downey Jr., fine. Okay.
I think the Mega Powers makes a good shit, pal.
Yeah, I think it would have been
because
B show if it wasn't.
Yeah.
All right, so that's where we're putting a good shit, pal, for WrestleMania 5. All right, WrestleMania 6, we're going international at the Toronto, Canada Sky Dome. The tagline, The Ultimate Challenge. So I think you know what's coming up here. 67,678 people in attendance. Some of the celebs. Robert Goulet actually sang "Oh Canada." Mary Tyler Moore was there. And fun fact, Edge, Christian, Renee Paquette, Lance Storm,
In attendance.
and Stephen Amell actually were all in attendance for that show as kids.
Very cool.
So very, very cool. So obviously Toronto came out in huge support for this show. The matches, Hogan versus Warrior for the IC and WWF title.
Yep.
DiBiase versus Jake Roberts for the $1 million title. Demolition versus Andre and Haku, the Colossal Connection. That is the ultimate Vince McMahon name right there. It's for the tag titles. Dusty and Sapphire versus Randy Savage and Sherry Martel, and then Rick Rude versus Jimmy Snuka on that card. Nick, what do you think of the Ultimate Challenge WrestleMania 6?
I love WrestleMania 6.
Okay.
I love WrestleMania 6. I think it's hard because in hindsight, so Warrior wins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think it's the passing of the torch. But as we know, he wasn't the greatest champion in the world.
No.
Right? So as a kid, I'd probably put this in Granddaddy, but as my brain is working and I know what other pay-per-views we have in front of this and the impact that they truly did have moving forward based off who won the main event, I'm gonna go with Good Shit Pal. That's me. What are you?
No, I like the Good Shit Pal tier for WrestleMania 6. I mean, Ultimate Challenge again. You ask anybody, you ask so many people about, like, people that don't watch wrestling anymore, and they will tell you the people that they remember Ultimate Warrior, they remember Savage, they remember Hogan,
Yes.
they remember these guys. Even though Ultimate Warrior was not a good wrestler, and I think it's all safe to say, rest in peace to the guy, but he wasn't good, and we all know that. But he was a goddamn specimen. And
I loved him. I was Warrior over Hogan.
Everyone loved, so many people loved Warrior because of his charisma and everything he brought to the table. So you can't have any less than Good Shit Pal. Definitely not Granddaddy. It wasn't the best WrestleMania or one of the best. It won't be remembered as one of the best, but it is up there in a top tier WrestleMania. So no, Good Shit Pal, I think is great. Also 67,000 people in Toronto. Yeah, that's something to be said there. That's the celebs lacking a little bit. Robert Goulet singing "Oh Canada," but for the matches and the attendance and where it was, yeah, definitely Good Shit Pal.
The card is great.
The card is good. It's a good card. It's a good card. All right, moving on to WrestleMania 7. Again, back in Los Angeles, California, and this was an interesting one. So I actually watched WrestleMania 7 last night because I was talking to the gentleman who trained me. You guys may know him as James Ellsworth. And I was talking to him yesterday. We were talking about WrestleMania 7. And because he watched the not Ted DiBiase, the Sergeant Slaughter documentary on A&E. And fun fact, well, if you want to call it a fun fact, but they actually were going to have this in the stadium in LA. I think at the Rose Bowl or somewhere, one of the big stadiums. But they couldn't because there were bomb threats because of how much heat Sergeant Slaughter had coming back to WWF. Now, folks, if you remember, Sergeant Slaughter left WWF because in the 80s he left because G.I. Joe's like, we want to make a toy out of you. And Vince was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want you to be here. And he's like, well, his wife said, you only get one chance to be G.I. Joe. And he's like, I'm gonna go be in a cartoon. I'm gonna go get a toy line made and make all this money being part of G.I. Joe. So this is Sergeant Slaughter coming back with all this buzz behind him, being part of G.I. Joe. He has the title. I think he beat Warrior at the Royal Rumble that year.
Yep.
And now he's facing off against Hogan as an Iraqi sympathizer during the what was the war? Desert Storm?
Gulf War?
No, Gulf War.
Desert Storm?
Gulf War. Desert.
Yeah.
So now so much heat, going crazy. Obviously he was the big all-American character coming back now as an Iraqi sympathizer. So a lot of heat going into this WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania 7, 16,000 people. The tagline, Superstars and Stripes Forever. The celebs, Willie Nelson sang America the Beautiful. It was in L.A., so everyone came out. Regis Philbin, Alex Trebek, George Steinbrenner, Donald Trump, Lou Ferrigno, Chuck Norris, Henry Winkler, Beverly D'Angelo, Bob Costas, including a lot more that I did not list. Some of the matches, Hogan versus Slaughter, previously mentioned. Boss Man versus Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental title. The Nasty Boys, Nick's favorite, versus the Hart Foundation for the tag titles. Warrior versus Savage in a retirement match. And Virgil versus Ted DiBiase. Not many people talk enough about WrestleMania 7, but Nick, I would put this in the granddaddy tier.
WrestleMania 7 is my favorite WrestleMania of all time.
I love WrestleMania 7. So I
think it was WrestleMania to perfection. As a child, this is easily my favorite.
I gotta go.
And not to mention, you had Randy Savage retirement match versus Warrior. You had the Miss Elizabeth running to the ring to save Savage. You had Hogan basically ripping the Iranian flag.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
He had ripping the flag and then wiping blood off his face with it. You had Sergeant Slaughter leading up to this event, burning the American flag on live television. Mm-hmm. You had the Rockers opening this. You had the Nasty Boys versus the Hart Foundation. Nasty Boys and Hart Foundation, to me, in that very moment, cut the greatest tag team like promos in the back of all time. If you go watch those promos back to back, like that sequence when they do it. You also had the Undertaker's where the streak started.
Yep.
Right? He beat
the
Snuka.
Macho. Did you say the Macho Flair affair?
Wait, what?
Macho in WrestleMania. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
No,
Keep going
no.
seven.
You go
7. You go 7.
You're
I'm
getting
sorry.
ahead of yourself, brother. Yeah, you had that. You had what else did you have? You had lost my train of thought.
You had
now.
WrestleMania 7. You had the Mountie. You had the Mountie versus
Big Bossman.
Tito Santana.
Right?
No, Tito
Santana.
Tito.
Tito.
Yep, Tito Santana. Yep, you had Boss Man. Well, we talked about Boss Man versus Perfect. He beat Mr. Perfect for the IC title. No, he didn't win it, though, because it was by disqualification.
No, he didn't win it. By DQ, yeah.
Yep, Earthquake, Greg Valentine, Legion of Doom, against...
you had the blindfold match.
Yep.
Like, there was so much shit in WrestleMania 7.
Rick Martel.
So much memorable moments in WrestleMania 7. I don't give a shit what anyone says, you dumb, stupid, dumb idiot marks. It's a granddaddy tier. I could talk about it forever. Maybe we'll just dedicate a show to it one day.
Yeah, I think we should. We should do a watch of WrestleMania 7.
Let's do that. What do we got next?
We're moving on to WrestleMania 8, folks. The tagline of WrestleMania 8, friendship torn apart. There were 2 taglines. Also, the Macho Flair affair. So you know what's coming up here. This is in Indianapolis at the Hoosier Dome. 62,000 people. It's crazy because it feels like it goes back and forth, Nick, of like the attendance. Like one year you have 62, next year you have 16 in these early years. Pretty interesting there. There's some of the celebs, not many here. I mean, they were in Indianapolis, so it's not like the celebs were coming out like they were in LA. But, you had Reba McEntire singing the Star Spangled Banner here. So Reba McEntire was in attendance. We spoke about it. The Macho Man, Ric Flair. We had Sid Justice versus Hulk Hogan in the main event. Some other ones: Owen Hart defeated Skinner. Tatanka defeated Rick Martel. Natural Disasters defeated Money Inc. Bret Hart defeated Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental title. And Undertaker defeated Jake Roberts by pinfall here. And was this Taker's first WrestleMania?
No, Taker's was 7.
Taker's was 7. That's right, because he wrestled.
He beat
Snuka. Snuka at 7. We didn't even talk. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so Undertaker's second against Jake Roberts. Beat him in 6 minutes, 36 seconds. So, you know what I love here, Nick? The match times, man. 10 minutes, 6 minutes, 13, 6 minutes, 18, 4, 8, 1. Owen Hart defeated Skinner in 1 minute right before the main event. 12 minutes for the main event. Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice. I'm just saying. I think you don't need to have long shows. You really don't.
No, you don't need 45-minute shows. You got to make sure that Nikki can go to bed because I'm getting older. WrestleMania 8, interesting. To me, the most memorable moment is Warrior returning and Papa Shango missing his cue.
Yeah.
I'll let you rank this though. Ben,
I
so we can
think
keep
I
this
think
moving.
it's a B show. I think it's a B show tier. I don't think it's parents pissed I wasted $50. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's 67,000 people in attendance. Good venue, Hoosier Dome, and you had some good storylines. Ric Flair, Randy Savage, Hogan versus Sid. I think B show would be good.
The
For
Warrior
WrestleMania.
Run is the most played wrestling GIF ever.
Exactly. So
The
there you
Warrior
go.
Run,
That's what we're all about. We're all about moments, and that will be the B show tier. All right, moving on now to WrestleMania 9. WrestleMania 9 held in Las Vegas, Nevada at Caesars Palace. 16,891 in one of the worst taglines of all time, the world's largest toga party. Oh boy, I think we all remember. This one's pretty prolific, WrestleMania 9.
It's good. It's good for all the wrong reasons.
It's
It was
good.
hokey. It was weird.
Yep. Just get into it a bit,
and-
Nick. Get into it a bit while I look through this. We talk.
I mean, Giant Gonzalez
And
versus
Undertaker,
The
one of the worst
Undertaker
matches of all time.
With the chloroform, Taker making chicken salad out of chicken shit, as old Stone Cold would say. Bobby Heenan coming, that was probably the best moment. Bobby Heenan coming to the ring backwards on a camel, sitting backwards. And then you had, what else did you fucking have? You had one of the worst finishes ever.
Oh, it's
like
just
the finish was so
Hogan.
fucking
Hogan
bad.
defeated. Yeah,
Just Hogan's like, listen, brother.
Yokozuna defeated Bret Hart, folks, and then
He's
Hogan.
like, listen, brother, the business is gonna go under if I don't win the title tonight with my eye all busted up. So let's just let's get that done right here.
In 22 seconds, he defeated Yokozuna.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, man, whatever. I mean, can we just move on?
This was bad. I don't even see. I'm looking through here. Who was this? One of the celebrities there? Wasn't there? Who was ringside? Wasn't it?
Someone was in a toga. I just know that, like, obviously, but like someone was dressed in a toga that was a celebrity, but.
It wasn't. I do remember. I do remember a few celebrities there. Somebody at ringside, but you know what? Didn't really matter that much. I think it sucked. I don't think any celebrities were going to save this anyway, so we don't even have to go over it. I'm putting this in. I mean, it's at bottom 2, Nick. I don't know what else you could put WrestleMania.
I would put a jabroni mark because we need to have something in there.
You're gonna put Jabroni. I have one coming up that's gonna be Jabroni Mark tier. So I think
I know which one it is.
I think it's parents are pissed I wasted $50 tier.
Okay, let's toss it
I
there
think-
because
I think it was. I think the venue was very
it's
cool.
memorable. It's memorable enough that it's not jabroni mark.
Yeah.
Because I can still rewatch it. I just don't think it's. I think it's just a hokey, weird ass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, moving on now to WrestleMania 10. All right, now we're starting to get some actual goddamn real logos for these and not the same damn thing every year. All right, this one was back in Madison Square Garden. 10 years in the making as the tagline, 18,065 people in attendance on March 20th, 1994. Who did we have here, Nick? We had this event. I mean, the one everybody remembers at WrestleMania 10 had to be the ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental title. Some other matches, we had Bret Hart defeating Yokozuna for the WWE Championship. Yokozuna having Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette in at ringside. But early in the night, Yokozuna defeated Lex Luger by disqualification to retain the WWF Championship.
I mean, I'll take it from here. The real story for WrestleMania 10 was two things. You had WrestleMania 10. You had the ladder match, which revolutionized the business, right, for ladder matches and everything, right? Like just the visuals and putting on an absolute show. One of the most rewatchable matches ever.
Absolutely.
And then also the story of brother versus brother, where Owen beats Bret in the beginning of the night, thinking that he finally got one over on his older brother, only for his older brother to win the WWF Championship at the end of the night. And then you have the iconic shot, one of the best shot angles in the history of pro wrestling, with Owen with his hands on his hips looking at his older brother, who he thought a few hours ago he had finally gotten one up on, is now the WWF champion. He is yet again in his brother's shadow. To me, I will put this in the granddaddy tier. Me personally, I was of the age where this was like the fucking best. So I'm putting in the granddaddy tier. Please place it there, Ben, and we can move on.
Boom.
To 11.
Some celebrities too wanted to say Burt Reynolds, Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh yeah,
A
they
few
did
good ones
right.
there. Who sang America? Little Richard sang America
It's the
the
fucking
Beautiful.
garden, man. It's the
Yep,
garden.
Little Richard. So
Come
that
on,
was a
man.
good one. That granddaddy tier always be remembered. Obviously, Bret Owen, but also some of the awesome storylines Nick went over. All right, so we are moving on to WrestleMania 11, Hartford, Connecticut. Probably one of the worst places to have a WrestleMania. 16,305 people in attendance. April 2nd, 1995.
Do we have to go through?
Oh, boy. I mean, this is just... the main event was Lawrence Taylor defeating Bam Bam Bigelow. Everyone remember the story. Lawrence Taylor was blown up to goddamn shreds after this match. Bret Hart defeated Bob Backlund. The Diesel defeated... obviously, I love Kevin Nash. I think this match was good. Diesel versus Shawn Michaels. Like, that was good. Undertaker defeated King Kong Bundy. That wasn't great. Razor Ramon versus Jeff Jarrett for the Intercontinental title. I'm sure that was fine. This was one of the least rewatched WrestleManias of all time. This was bad. This was very, very bad.
I got nothing to say. Can we just toss it in the
seven
and move on to 12?
That's how bad it was. Nick's speechless. Does not want to say a word about it.
Nope.
Very bad. Very bad. All right, WrestleMania 12. Here we go. WrestleMania 12 is back in Los Angeles, technically in Anaheim, California. 18,853 at the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim on March 31st, 1996. Actually had less of a buy rate than WrestleMania 11, Nick. Fun fact there for you. Kind of friggin' embarrassing.
Dumb marks.
The dumb marks. The tagline here, did they even have one? I don't even know.
The boyhood dream come true, maybe?
The boyhood dream. You know what? Let's just call it that. The boyhood
Let's
dream
call it that.
Came true.
WrestleMania 12, I'll just take it. For
Go
me,
ahead. You take it.
For me, it's up there, big time. You have the Iron Man match. Shawn Michaels finally, realizes his boyhood dream. The iconic line, "The boyhood dream has come true." And then you also had the backlot brawl between Goldust and Roddy Piper. A lot went on WrestleMania 12.
Don't forget the Huckster versus Nacho Man ending in a no contest.
Yeah, I mean, to me, if you just be like, WrestleMania 12, I'd be like, Granddaddy tier. But I don't quite think it's there.
No, I don't think so.
I think it is a good shit, pal, because of the main event being so damn strong.
Yeah.
That is my opinion. That's where I think it sits.
I agree with you. I mean, some pretty awesome matches here. I mean, obviously Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart in that Iron Man match. Undertaker and Diesel. I watched this match recently. I think it's a really good big man match.
It is a good match.
I think it is. Stone Cold, Savio Vega always had good matches. So, yeah, and people always remember the backlot brawl. Obviously, the Huckster and Nacho Man wasn't a real match, so we don't have to talk about that. But yeah, no, I think good shit, pal. We're starting to really get into wrestling's really getting past that lull they had in the early 90s.
We're getting close to the Attitude Era,
and we're
about to get there in a couple.
And WCW's popping off at this point, so it's it's starting. Competition, that made everything better. So let's move on now to WrestleMania 13. The tagline is just heat. WrestleMania 13. All right, so this was back in Rosemont, Illinois at the Rosemont Horizon Arena. 18,197 people in attendance. Again, not the best buy rate, 237,000 people. This was presented by PlayStation. Now we're getting into those sponsors, those fun sponsors. Can't wait for Corn Nuts to come up. So the matches here, I mean, the biggest thing everybody remembers here had to be Bret Hart, Stone Cold. Double turn, there a referee stoppage, Stone Cold face bleeding. Everyone remembers that sight, face bleeding. He just passes out to the sharpshooter, and we have.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't really care about anything else on the card as much.
Taker versus Sid
Taker versus Sid, like whatever. Like,
disqualification kind of sucks that was the end of the match.
Listen, it wasn't great, but at 13 had the double turn.
Yeah,
I'll put it. Man, I don't think it's even good shit, pal. I think it's B tier.
I think it's B show. I agree.
Yeah.
And it is iconic. There is an iconic match there.
If we're talking matches, that's a granddaddy match.
Exactly.
But we're not talking about the match. We're talking about the entire WrestleMania. And the other thing 13 had, or was it 12? Which had Lawrence Taylor in it?
No, Lawrence Taylor was 11. That was bad.
Oh, Lawrence, yeah, it sucked. Yeah, that's why.
That was the worst. That was probably one of the worst.
Let's move on to 14.
Let's move on to 14. Okay, so this might be easy here, Nick. WrestleMania 14, the main event. We all know what it was. Stone Cold versus Shawn Michaels. The Austin era has begun. The greatest pay-per-view attraction of all time. So let me put this into perspective. The buy rate of the last pay-per-view at WrestleMania 13, before 14, was 270,000. You know what the buy rate of this one was, Nick? 730
yeah.
730,000 people bought this pay-per-view. So they more than doubled, almost tripled their number from the year before.
Here's the deal. It doesn't matter what else was on the card.
No.
The fact is this literally, this again, just like WrestleMania 1, this literally changed the wrestling business.
Absolutely.
The Austin era has begun, changed the wrestling business. So the WrestleMania 14 has to be a granddaddy tier.
There's no other option.
No other option.
Boston, Massachusetts. I mean, one of the best WrestleManias of all time.
And now you're going to see the list of what we have moving forward. It's all because of the change of guard at WrestleMania 14
Absolutely.
into the Attitude Era. Here we go.
Absolutely. Chris Warren, the DX Band, opened the show, actually, by performing America the Beautiful. So, yeah, I mean, nothing else needs to be said. Undertaker defeated Kane, another good match. Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie versus the New Age Outlaws. Everyone remembers that in a dumpster match. The Rock and the Nation defeated Ken Shamrock
just
for
fucking
the WWF
great.
Intercontinental title. This is simple here. I think we know it. Triple H defeated Owen Hart for the WWF European Championship. Shout out to the WWF European Championship as well. Very forgotten. I love the Al Snow run with that title. That was the best. All right. So, yeah, Granddaddy tier. Easy, cut and dry. WrestleMania 14. Moving on to 15 here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 20,276. The tagline for here, another one that seems like it was Vince McMahon laughing in his office alone. The Raging Climax. Raging Climax for WrestleMania.
I mean, what was the main event, Ben? Let's just get it. What was the
boy.
main event?
Oh, boy.
What was the main event?
The main event of WrestleMania 15 was Stone Cold versus The Rock. That was the first time they wrestled. Number one. Corporation banned from ringside. Mankind special guest referee. Don't want to forget that.
Where do you put it?
Let's look at the rest here. I mean, we're looking at Granddaddy, but
so for me, because of what's coming up in 2 WrestleManias, it has to be a good shit pal.
Yeah. So I think we're setting up for some really good stuff here. I don't think WrestleMania 15 is as remembered as well as some of the other ones,
and it shouldn't be. I don't think it should. It's known because it's. If you say to me, "What's WrestleMania 15?" I said it's the first time Austin and Rock headlined. That's it. That's what it is to me.
There's nothing else, really. I mean, looking at this card, Hardcore Holly defeated Billy Gunn. Mankind defeated Big Show by disqualification.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Let's just move on.
Let's move on to the next
Don't do it to me. I got to pee.
WrestleMania 16. WrestleMania 2000. This was the Four Corners match. Big Show with Shane McMahon. Triple H with Stephanie. Cactus Jack or Mick Foley, whatever you wanted to call him at this point, with Linda McMahon, and The Rock with Vince. A McMahon in every corner was the tagline. Obviously, remember this, just under 20,000 people, 824,000 people bought this pay-per-view. So the buy rates are friggin' insane. In Anaheim, California, we know the main event, but we also remember when it was the first triangle ladder match, the first TLC match, you can call it that. Technically not TLC, but the first triangle ladder match between Edge and Christian Dudley's and the Hardy Boys. You had Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho in a 2-fall triple threat match for the WWF Intercontinental and WWF European Championships. Kurt Angle was in that as well. So what do you think, Nick? What do you think for WrestleMania 2000, technically WrestleMania 16? I thought the main event did not live up to the hype. I thought the main event was kind of.
I've never been a fan of this one. You could put it B tier if you want, but I wouldn't even mind if it was parents wasted my money. But I think it's just WWE was too hot at the time. You could put in whatever one you want.
I think it's a B show just because of. I mean, you had major star power. I think the TLC match saved it. It was in California. You know, the stars were out, so. Yeah, I think B show is good, but yeah, parents are pissed we wasted money. All right, WrestleMania 17. Nick, how much time do we really need to spend on WrestleMania 17?
Granddaddy tier.
This is my favorite WrestleMania of all time.
Granddaddy tier. Nothing else to say.
Yep.
I'm not going to bore you guys with why it's so
Texas.
fucking awesome.
If
you don't know why it's in the Granddaddy tier,
then you shouldn't be listening.
Don't stop listening. Stop listening to the shows. Just stop watching wrestling.
Go watch it. We know what happened. Stone Cold defeated The Rock and then turned heel, which some people say was one of the worst booking decisions of all time, but I don't care. I still enjoyed it. One of the best TLC matches of all time. I loved the goddamn battle royal, the big gimmick battle royal at WrestleMania 17. That rocked. So that is being in the Granddaddy tier, and I don't care what anybody says. WrestleMania 18 again, Nick. I mean, Toronto, icon versus icon, Hogan versus The Rock. I don't know. I kind of have a hard time not putting it in the granddaddy tier, but I mean, yeah, the rest of the card wasn't the best.
I'll put it in good shit, pal.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, one of the most memorable matches. But
here's the thing, that's like a R type of match too.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's something that we mark out about more than like you got to be of age. Like, I don't think of someone who's 22 years old is going to understand why we would put that in the granddaddy tier.
Yep.
So I'm going to put in good shit, pal, just to be a little bit fair.
Yep, I know. I agree. And they opened the show with Saliva playing Superstar. This was a lot of my developmental years with music, were all these pay-per-view theme songs. All right, moving on to WrestleMania 19. WrestleMania 19, Seattle, Washington, 54,000 people at Safeco Field. Dare to Dream is the tagline of WrestleMania 19. So, I mean, the big match here, Rock and Stone Cold for the final time, 2003. The main event was Brock Lesnar defeated Kurt Angle. Many people remember this when Brock botching the Shooting Star Press, but it was a great match. Obviously, Rock, Stone Cold, the final time. A lot of emotion behind that. Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho. I think one of the best matches of Chris Jericho's career versus Shawn Michaels. Hogan versus McMahon in a street fight. Had to gimmick that one up a bunch. Triple H defeating Booker T. Didn't love that. So, but I don't know. This is either good. This has got to be good shit, pal.
It's a good shit, pal. Yeah, because it can't be a B tier.
No,
it can't. Rock and Austin are headlining. Can't. Yeah, but it's not a granddaddy tier because granddaddy is 17, and 17 is considerably better than 19.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But very much remember great venue. So yeah. So all right, last one for this week. WrestleMania 20. Again, back at Madison Square Garden, where it all begins again. March 14th, 2004. The buy rate, 1,020,000 people.
Crazy.
Bought this pay-per-view. Going through the card here. John Cena defeated Big Show for the United States Championship.
I love that match.
That was his first major championship, right?
Yep. First he hit him with the brass knucks.
Hit him with the brass knucks and hit the FU. Yep. We had Goldberg and Brock Lesnar in one of the most underwhelming matches of all time with Austin as a special guest referee. Unfortunately, both on their way out. Evolution defeated the Rock and Sock Connection. I remember that match well. Christian defeated Chris Jericho. I think that was the Trish Stratus. Wasn't she involved in this? Where they
she was making out with.
Yep.
Yeah, she ended up making out with Christian at the end.
Yep. Too Cool won the WWE Tag Team Championship in a big schmoz match. Victoria defeated Molly Holly. Undertaker defeating Kane by pinfall. And the main event, Chris Benoit defeating Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a triple threat match for the WWE Heavyweight Championship with Eddie Guerrero coming out and celebrating after. Definitely something that WWE wishes they can continue to promote, but for reasons we all know, they cannot. So, I mean, if we're going back to 2004, I thought this was a great pay-per-view. I mean, barring like Goldberg, Lesnar kind of sucked, but other than that, I don't know. This is tough. I'm in between two, Nick. I'm in between Good Shit Pal and B Show for this one.
I don't think it's a B show.
Yeah,
I think it's very rewatchable. I've watched this WrestleMania a lot. It had a lot of good and a lot of like.
Exactly.
It's just honestly, you know what? Listen, let's just call it like it is. The last thing we'll mention about it, the main event, you just can't talk about it.
You can't.
Just don't acknowledge it, and it's just something
I will say one thing. Triple threat matches sometimes can really stink. This is one of the greatest triple threat matches of all time. It was.
Yeah,
it was.
And it's just, but the thing is, like, you just don't want to go. You know,
you
it's
can't
just,
even. That's all we'll say.
That's all we'll say. We'll put it in Good Shit Pal because it's a very rewatchable pay per view. We'll leave it at that, and that'll conclude the first round of this tiering of the WrestleMania. I thought we did a good job. I think this is our most fair and least lopsided tiering thing that we've done. Initially, Ben was like, let's go through them all. And I said, let's cut it in half because I have to take a piss and I have an old man bladder and there's zero chance that I get through the entire thing. And that's true because
it would have been a lot. And then we get 2 weeks of content with this. So
that's right.
We'll come back next week with 21 versus 39.
Let us know if you disagree. Let us know if you agree. We want to hear from you. Again, like to say big shout out to Fight Factory for booking us at the top of the card. Coming in, was it July?
Yep.
Yeah, July 16th. Yep, we'll be there. Thank you so much, Dave Sturcio, for making sure that you take care of us. We appreciate everything that you're doing, and by that I mean you're acknowledging how fucking great we are. Ben, do you have anything else to say to these marks?
Nope, nothing else. Besides, keep it positive, keep it trucking, and keep the shades on because the sun never sets on a cool guy.
Later, marks.